Without much blah blah, let's start the camera tour. So, analyze the camera software of the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. So I go into the camera application, and this is the user interface that you will get on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. You can see very simple. We have our zoom sliders here at the bottom. The cool thing is if I go into landscape mode, they stay there, so I can use it with one hand. I can switch lenses, and you can see it has nice zoom animation that we can see here. And this is one very good thing, because if I go in here, you can see we have also nice zoom animations here. And yeah, this is working nicely as well, as you can see here. But there's no buttons. And I really like to have those buttons, and then to have this really smooth animations that we see here. It would be really awesome. Let's go back to photos and let's check out the user interface a little bit more. So what we can see here at the top is we have, of course, the flash that we can turn on, always on, automatic, and so on. With HDR that we can turn off, we have these nice animations that show us status information when we click on something. We have the Zeiss natural color filter here that gives us a bit of more natural colors instead of the default Vivo colors, which are a bit more punchy. Then we have the macro capabilities. If I click on this, another menu opens up where you can say super macro off, or I can set it to auto, where depending on how close you get to the subject, it will automatically turn on. Otherwise, you can set it to turn on. If you want to shoot a macro shot, which is what I would recommend, not to go to the auto way, because then it can switch, and depending on how small the object is, it can switch back and forth. Then we have the settings there. Let's go take a quick look at the settings. These are basic settings that you can take here, just like, for example, the self timer, aspect ratio, framing guidelines that I have turned on. You can see here in the background they're turned on. I have a leveler that I can turn on and off. I can turn off the stabilization if I want to. I have some effects as well. Swipe horizontal for getting some of the effects, as you can see here. So this is like the white balance. This is the correct white balance now. And I can even swipe up and down to change the exposure. So very interesting effect here. I like the way that I can make it warmer and cooler just by sliding here, because this makes it a lot easier to get your white balance right. And you can directly see it on screen, which is pretty nice. And you can see it also on the top here, where when I change something on the top there, it is written like color change, and also the exposure change as well, which is pretty handy indeed. And this is what I recommend you to turn on if you want to edit your photos a bit more. You can turn on the watermark. We have motion, motion autofocus, so it can detect if a person, a kid, a dog or something is moving, and I can then click autofocus tracking, so it automatically tracks this person. Or I can do manual focus tracking, which is also possible, or turn it off if I don't need focus tracking. Very useful, like I said, for kids, dogs, pets, and so on. And then we have even more settings. If we go to more settings, we have more stuff. Just like, for example, we can configure our watermark, photo watermark, video watermark only. We can turn on and off the shutter sound, the location, a mirrored selfie, which I don't like, so I turn it off. Male friendly makeup, which is possible, or turn it off, so I don't do this. Keep settings, which is something interesting. So if you close the app, it will usually reset some settings. You can turn on and off which settings you want to keep, or in which modes they should be kept. And here for the portrait and pro mode, they will keep the settings that you set up last time, like in pro mode, for example, the shutter speed, the ISO level, and so on. We have a motion autofocus, where we have now explanation on how it works with the tracking, and we can turn it on and off here as well, which is a bit redundant, but nevertheless we have it. We have smart recommendations here for photo and video mode that gives us a little bit of smart recommendations for night mode, for example, to change the video to 24 frames per second to have a little bit of a brighter video as well. When it comes to shutter, we have some shutter settings here, like, for example, touch. So touch anywhere on the screen to take the shot. We have also the possibility to set up the voice, say cheese, for taking a photo, or the palm to taking a photo. So hold your palm there and it will take a photo. Portrait framing is disabled for some reason here, maybe only in portrait mode. Remove moles, which is possible, so it will remove any moles or things that you don't want to show up. enhanced night sky, which will brighten up the sky a little bit more, so you are able to see the sky a bit clearer with the stars and moon and so on. Finished photo orientation prompt, so we can change the orientation for certain photos, like if I take photos from documents, for example, might be very helpful. Then there's a lens package. I really don't know what this lens package thing does, but I think it is just simply doing a lens correction. This is what I think, at least. And this is the photo mode. Then we have this various different zoom levels, but we also have a nice little button there, and this button gives us multiple different color profiles that we can choose here. We can choose even the intensity of those profiles, which is also pretty interesting. And they have some quite interesting ones there as well, some classic ones, and yeah, some more contrasty ones that remind me a little bit of Leica look, and the default one. So this is possible regardless of if I have the size filter on or off. I can have it on and I can still choose different filters, but if I choose those different filters, size turns off. So this is one thing that you have to keep in mind. Then we go into portrait settings. In portrait settings, of course, we have like the possibility for night photography. So for example, super night I can turn on and off automatically, which gives you even night portraits and the possibility to do so. HDR I can turn on and off. We have the HD portrait audio that we can HD portrait auto that also creates an HD portrait automatically if you want to, enhancing it even more. It's automatically using the 2x lens, but you can go to 1x, or you can, let's go back to portraits, go to 3.5x. We have different styling options that we have. Natural is the one that's default, but you can also go here to size styles, like this one here, which is a Cineflare, and it gives you a nice preview as well that explains how it will look like. And I click the preview away. Nevertheless, you have various different size options here as well. The planar style bokeh, different bokehs that you can get here with the size style, which is pretty interesting. And you have some more here as well that you can choose from, and you can choose the intensity as well. So portrait, very nice. Then we have filters here as well. These are the filters that we saw already before. Then we have here the possibility for beautifying, so people who want to beautify themselves can do this here, and they can not only beautify, they can also change the posture here as well. As you can see here, we have various different ways that can help you to get a nice selfie done, and casual photos with some interesting male photos, how to take male photos, and then it gives like information on how to get this photo done, which is super cool, I think, as a nice idea if you want to do such things. This is a portrait mode. Then we have night mode. Night mode, we have the same styles that we can choose from, but these are not like the styles that we had before. Here we have like black and white, black and gold. We have the cyberpunk kind of style that we can use in night mode. This dreamy, textured, blue eyes, green. So this is very interesting if you want to photograph cityscapes and so on. That can give you nice little effects here. You can even set the intensity of those effects as well. And then of course we have all the lenses there, so we can shoot nighttime also with 10x zoom if you want to. That's possible. I wouldn't recommend you to do this, but this is possible. Then we have like here the possibility you have a tripod detection. By default it's on, so it means that if it detects a tripod, it will take a longer exposure, so you get even better photos out of it. Then we have here the panorama night. It gives you a nice explanation. How do I take photos in panorama night? So yeah, the possibility to have a big landscape recorded with this option, which is pretty interesting. And then we have here a long exposure option. This also what it requires you to do. You probably need a tripod for this. It gives you some options, some tips on how to do night graffiti and some other things that I think modes on other smartphones, but here it just tells you what you can do with this longer exposure option, which is also a very interesting idea, and you can choose between the various different modes here as well that I told you about. So they are available here as well. So it's not only this, they're explaining to you how it works, and you can see how long then it will take. 4-second exposure, 8-second exposure. So very interesting indeed if you have this option enabled. Then we have the option to take a supermoon or astrophotography. So if you're into taking photos of stars or the moon, you have the possibility to go into special mode here that allows you to do so. So the supermoon, for example, it gives you a nice explanation as well. How to do this, how to capture supermoon with a telephoto lens, 10 times zoom is the best, how blah blah master this. Very, very cool indeed that they have this built in here. And yeah, for people who like to take photos, they need a little bit of like help. This is definitely good. Then sports, very interesting mode if you want to photograph sports. Some people just want to photograph sports, but our smartphones are doing so much computational photography nowadays that it's a bit hard to capture things in time. And there's a special sports mode that is like taking care of this. Very high shutter speed. You have the possibility to have a live photo. So if you want to have someone running and playing football or tennis and you want to hit the ball or something like this, you have the possibility to turn on live photo, which is nothing else like a small sequence of photos taken one at another, or a little video that helps you then to choose which of those photos from this video you can extract. We can do this 1 time, 2 times and 3.5 times. And then we have, of course, our filters there as well available, as well as HDR. So very, very good for sports and actions. Then we have our Pro mode, the full-fledged Pro mode. I could do a video on its own only about the Pro mode. We have the size, color science here. We have RAW photography. We have not only RAW, we have even Vivo Super RAW, which is comparable to what iOS and Apple is doing with their RAW files. So it has takes multiple framings and then puts them into a RAW file, which is pretty interesting to do. And we have not only the normal lens, we have the ultra wide angle lens here. We have the the medium telephoto 2 times and the 3.5 times telephoto here that we can choose, and we can take super RAW on all of those lenses. Pretty cool indeed, I would say. Then of course all the shenanigans: exposure, ISO, shutter speed, white balance, autofocus. If I set autofocus here, I have also in the options the possibility to turn on where is it? To turn on, probably not in RAW, to turn on the focus peaking. I'm not sure why it's not appearing here right now, but I had histogram enabled, as you can see. I have stabilization enabled. I can add a watermarking, have bracketing enabled. There's size APC as well possible. Connect the photo perspective in real time according to the angle of your photo, so that you can easily take horizontal and vertical photos. So this is also possible here with this special mode. And interval shooting is also possible here. And we have more settings, which goes directly into the settings again, but I think those settings are the same as in the normal photo mode that we saw already. And we have video mode, and in video mode we have also Pro capabilities. There you can see it. There's my focus peaking that I can turn on here, and then I can go into AF and have then my focus peaking as well going on, and it's turned on. And I have exposure feed options, so overexposure, underexpose stuff is also showing up here. I can choose the frame rate and the 8K. I can choose if I want to have this, and lots and lots of more. I can choose to record in log file format, which is interesting if I want to edit this later on. And I have under options here grid length, level, stabilization, watermarks, but also I turned on the waveform and histogram. So it is histogram on the photo mode, and the waveform in as you can see here, it's changing the waveform in video mode, which is like a professional kind of thing. So if you want to do such things, and there's a level for audio as well for the microphone. As you can see, I can change even the microphone level here, which is super cool, just by tapping on it and making it a bit louder. All possible here in those settings. And where did I set it up? I thought I saw it somewhere in Pro features. Exactly here I have the possibility to turn on the histogram, the metering EV, waveforms if I want to have in video, audio levels, image noise reduction, and anti-shake, which I can turn on here in the Pro features. So if I'm in Pro mode, I have the possibilities to turn this on as well. So very full-fledged camera app, and it's like one of the best camera apps that I saw a long time ago. I think the only one that has so many features in was LG back in the day. And even Sony's Xperia that I'm recording here with has no here focus peaking or exposure setting or waveforms for this matter. It has a histogram I think I can turn on before recording, but not during recording. If I hit record here, you can still see, yes, the microphone is still there. Yes, it's still there. The histogram or waveforms is still there. I can see it. No issues at all with this. I can hide it if I want to have a clean shot, but I can also make it appear again. And during recording, I can change the ISO, I can change the focus, I can change everything in here. Very, very cool indeed. One of the best pro modes I ever saw on a camera, on a smartphone. So, video mode. The normal video mode allows us to have stabilization enabled. We have ultra stabilization that we can have here. Ultra stabilization is recording at 1080p 60 frames per second. And then we have horizontal lock, horizontal level stabilization, so I can move, I can turn the phone itself, but it will stay this locked, as you can see there. So this is a very, very nice feature indeed as well. Then we have, of course, the possibility to turn off any stabilization. If I'm using a tripod or something like this, I can also go to standard, which is, I think, default. Then just to make sure when you're going into video, if you want to have 4K by default, choose here default resolution and frame rate by default. Otherwise, it will switch to 1080p 30, which I had for Christmas Eve, and it was like a little bit of, yeah, stupid of me. Then I recorded all the events there in 1080p instead of 4K. So set default resolution and frame rate to 4K, for example, which I did here, 30 frames per second, but you can also go to 8K if you want to. So this is the basic mode. Then we have Dolby Vision that we can turn on here. You can see the screen changed a little bit, and we have this super HDR kind of look, Dolby Vision HDR that we can turn on. And when you record Dolby HDR here, just for a few seconds now as this test, if I go into the gallery, of course, then we have the possibility, let's go to pause here. Usually you have an issue, especially on Sony phones, for example, to export this HDR, but here you can share this, and if I share it, I can share it to a computer or something else. It will automatically, it has the option somewhere to convert to SDR here in the settings, convert to SDR, and it's transcoding this file into SDR. Super cool, because then you have the benefits of HDR, but if you want to have this cool benefits of HDR but still want to share the SDR video, you have the possibility to do so. So this is something that others, Sony, are you listening, should do as well. So video mode. Then we have micro movie mode. Micro movie mode is something for social media again. We have stabilization options there. We have some other options here that we can turn on, like for example ultra fast, slow, standard, fast and ultra fast. How fast stuff should go, and then we have like various different things that we can do for this kind of things. It's downloading even some stuff. Then we have some other options here for doing a vlog, basically doing a TikTok, for people who like to do this. Lots and lots of options. I think it's packed with options and things to download to get your TikTok, YouTube Shorts, or whatever short micro vlogging format going with those options here. Very nice. And yes, I can go in micro movie mode, and no, I cannot switch to the front facing camera. No. Should work usually, maybe it's a bug. Anyway, under more, we have even more options here. High resolution option, for example, where I can choose to photograph in 50 megapixel high resolution. I can go in here, ultra wide angle, 48 megapixels resolution, 2 times 50 megapixels, and 3.5 times 64 megapixels. So all the sensors can do high resolution. I think this was only possible on Huawei phones before. Very nice indeed. Then we have the panorama mode. We have the ultra HD document mode that allows you to scan documents. The slow motion mode, let's check the slow motion mode for shortly. What we can do here is 1080p, 120 or 240 frames per second. If I go to 720p, we can go up to 480p. This is but the max, nothing else there. Let's go and check time-lapse. We can do time-lapse here. Various different options that we can check here as well for time-lapse in Pro mode, which is cool. We can set resolution, for example 4K, 30 frames per second is possible, and then we can check various different options here to do the time-lapse. gives us very different things to do here, and speeds to take the time lapse in, and I can turn off the stabilization if I want to, or have it on as well. And let's go to more here and check out long exposure. I think I checked already, I showed you long exposure. There's nothing else, nothing new here. We have the tripod mode. We have the possibility to go in here, say sync recording, which will then synchronize the recording, which is also a pretty interesting feature for this. If you have multiple stuff. Supermoon, I already showed you. Astrophotography is basically the same that I showed you already. So night sky, astrophotography, its own dedicated mode, but yeah, it's basically what we had before already. Then we have size, landscape, and architecture mode, which allows us to have like different effects, like the size miniature effect, for example, that we have here, EDOF effect, or APC effect that I showed you already before. So this is where we can choose those styles here as well. Nothing new there. We can have a special food mode that allows us to photograph food here, and we can choose the f-stop number. This is not a physical aperture, but it's using fake bokeh there for the food. But interesting nevertheless that we have it. AR stickers, of course, the possibility to have some AR stuff there, and here we can put like some ears or something like this on our head if we want to do this. This is the AR sticker mode. And we have the Jovi lens. Jovi lens is nothing else like the Google lens, just for the Chinese market and for Vivo. We have double exposure mode. We have dual view. Dual view allows us to see me here, recording it with the Xperia Pro I, as you can see here. And yeah, I have the possibility to also change stuff here, change my face. I can also change the way I look, circular, heart, square. And what is this doing? I can change it between this being the primary or this being the primary, and can also go in here, have it like this or this. So this is also possible. And yeah, 1080p I think is only the highest resolution that you can do here, and default is 720p by 27 frames per second. I don't know why it's recording 27 frames per second, but yeah, this is like weird. Live photo I already showed you as well in one of the other modes. This is just like simply a dedicated mode there for this one, but it's nothing really special. And AI group portrait, it's like if you want to take a portrait shot with the whole group, you can do so here. You can also go to the ultra wide angle to do so, and have some filters there as well available. So lots and lots of modes here, and these are only few of those settings. I think pretty much I went through everything here in 22 minutes, which is pretty interesting. If you have some questions, you can write it down in the comment section. If you have some tips and tricks on how to use the Vivo camera software, then write it down there as well. That's everything for the short little video. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Until the next time. Bye.